brought to you by WikiVD Documentaries. Lincoln film.
Lincoln is a 2012 American epic historical drama film directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Daniel Day-Lewis as United States President Abraham Lincoln. The film also features Sally Field, David Strathairn, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, James Spader, Hal Holbrook, and Tommy Lee Jones in supporting performances. The screenplay, by Tony Kushner, was loosely based on Doris Kearns Goodwin's biography Team of Rivals, The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln, and covers the final 4 months of Lincoln's life, focusing on his efforts in January 1865 to have the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution passed by the United States House of Representatives.
The film was produced by Spielberg and frequent collaborator Kathleen Kennedy, through their respective production companies, Amblin Entertainment and the Kennedy Marshall Company. Filming began October 17, 2011, and ended on December 19, 2011. Lincoln premiered on October 8, 2012 at the New York Film Festival. The film was co-produced by DreamWorks Pictures, 20th Century Fox, and Participant Media, and released theatrically by Touchstone Pictures in North America on November 9, 2012. The film was distributed by Fox in international territories. Lincoln received widespread critical acclaim, with major praise directed to the acting, especially Day-Lewis's performance, as well as the direction and production merits. In December 2012, the film was nominated for 7 Golden Globe Awards, including Best Motion Picture Drama, Best Director for Spielberg, and winning Best Actor for Day-Lewis. At the 85th Academy Awards, the film was nominated for 12 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. It won for Best Production Design and Best Actor for Day-Lewis. The film was also a commercial success, grossing over $275 million at the box office.
Plot. In January 1865, President Abraham Lincoln expects the Civil War to end soon, perhaps within a month, with the defeat of the Confederate States. However, he is concerned his wartime 1863 Emancipation Proclamation may be discarded by the courts after the war, and the proposed 13th Amendment will be defeated by the returning slave states. Lincoln feels it is imperative to pass the amendment before that, thus removing any possibility slaves who have been freed may be re-enslaved.
The radical Republicans fear the amendment will be defeated by some who wish to delay its passage. The support of the amendment by Republicans in the border states is not yet assured either, since they prioritize ending the war. Even if all of them are brought on board, the amendment will still require the support of several Democratic congressmen if it is to pass,
with dozens of Democrats having just become lame ducks after losing the re-election campaigns in the fall of 1864. Some of Lincoln's advisers believe he should wait until the new Republican-heavy Congress is seated, presumably giving the amendment an easier road to passage. Lincoln, however, remains adamant about having the amendment in place, and the issue of slavery settled before the war is concluded, and the Southern states readmitted into the Union. Lincoln's hopes for passage of the amendment rely upon the support of Francis Preston Blair, a founder of the Republican Party whose influence can ensure all members of the Western and border state conservative Republican faction will back the amendment. With Union victory in the Civil War highly likely, but not yet complete, and with 2 sons serving in the Union Army, Blair is keen to end the hostilities. Therefore, in return for his support, Blair insists Lincoln allow him
to immediately engage the Confederate government in peace negotiations. This is a complication to Lincoln's amendment efforts, since he knows a significant portion of the support he has garnered for the amendment is from the radical Republican faction, for whom a negotiated peace that leaves slavery intact is morally unacceptable, and that other Republicans will be content to end the war, but leave slavery intact. Unable to proceed without Blair's support, however, Lincoln reluctantly authorizes Blair's mission.
In the meantime, Lincoln and Secretary of State William Seward work to secure the necessary Democratic votes for the amendment. Lincoln suggests they concentrate on the lame duck Democrats, as they have already lost re-election, and thus will feel free to vote as they choose, rather than having to worry about how their vote will affect a future re-election campaign. Furthermore, those members will soon need employment, and Lincoln will have many federal jobs to fill as he begins his second term, which he sees as a tool he can use to his advantage.
Though Lincoln and Seward are unwilling to offer direct monetary bribes to the Democrats, they authorize agents to quietly contact Democratic congressmen with offers of federal jobs in exchange for voting in favor of the amendment. At a key moment in the debate, racial equality advocate Thaddeus Stevens agrees to moderate his position, instead arguing the amendment represents only legal equality, not a declaration of actual equality. Meanwhile, Confederate envoys are ready to meet with Lincoln to discuss terms for peace, but he instructs they be kept out of Washington. As the amendment approaches a vote on the House floor, a rumor of their mission circulates, prompting both Democrats and conservative Republicans to advocate postponing the vote on the amendment. But in a carefully worded statement, Lincoln denies there are envoys in Washington, and the vote proceeds, narrowly passing by a margin of 2 votes. Black visitors to the gallery celebrate, and Stevens returns home to his housekeeper and lover, a mixed-race woman. When Lincoln meets with the Confederates, he tells them slavery cannot be restored as the North is united for ratification of the amendment, and that several of the Southern states' reconstructed legislatures would also vote to ratify. On April 3, Lincoln visits the battlefield at Petersburg, Virginia, where he exchanges a few words with Lieutenant General Ulysses S. Grant. 6 days later, Grant receives General Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. On April 14, Lincoln is in a meeting with members of his cabinet, discussing possible future measures to enfranchise blacks. When he is reminded First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln is waiting to take them to their evening at Ford's Theater. That night, while Lincoln's son Tad is watching Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp at Grover's Theater, the manager suddenly stops the play and announces the president has been shot. To the audience's shock and Tad's distress, the next morning at the Peterson House, Lincoln dies. Secretary of War Edwin Stanton declares, now he belongs to the ages. Lincoln is seen again delivering his second inaugural address. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVD Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.